What's up, guys? Welcome back to Big Yogi'Z Garage. Today I got Robert Smith back. Coach Robert Smith.
Pleasure being here.
How you doing?
I'm doing.
You doing good?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for coming back. I want to have you on because last time we talked about your coaching, your school, and we wanted to go into I wanted to go more into like a deeper conversation. But at that time, neither of us were ready for that conversation.
Okay.
But I wanted to ask you, man, because you told me about your upbringing and you told me that you had a lot of trauma due to your father and due to your upbringing. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
All right. So I'm back.
Yeah.
This is difficult.
Welcome
for me.
back.
Thank
you,
man. Thank you. So on the last time, this is difficult for me. But we all fall short of God's glory, right?
Yeah.
In regards to my dad, it's especially difficult. People close to me know his story and this, that, the other, and it's a very intriguing story. There's some shocking things, but part of the reason I don't share it is because, as you know, young men especially have a tendency to glorify those kind of things. So I'm real careful about where I implement his life, how it affected me, and things of that nature. So him directly, to give a background of him, and we talked before about how we can't talk about me without talking about him. He just to, I guess, throw it right out there, so he had a time span from about 8 to 38 where he was home for one Christmas. So he started young, went to his first reform school and he was maybe 6 years old. He met what ended up being his partner, where he took a armed robbery rap for him. Could have easily shook his head yes, acknowledged that they were asking if his friend did it. He didn't. He took that rap. That alone is a big part of what molded me, my siblings, my family, our entire family as a whole. Him being that person and doing what he did, and what that said about him and what that meant to us. As far as what he did and didn't get into, he was sentenced to the remainder of natural life. He did. There were riots. The laws changed. The laws were changed from no remainder of natural life, 15 to life, eligible for parole after 15, went to parole, got denied, 2 years approved. So he did 17 years of his life sentence. Before he went to prison, he had no family, no kids, no conscience to hear him say it. When he was in prison, he refound his faith that he thought was toxic when he was young because of the things that he experienced through those channels when he was young. So anyway, he gets out of prison, he finds his faith, starts a family at around 40, lives to be 72, sees his kids raised, sees the first person in his family graduate college. Him doing that and him starting that late in his life, him persevering and getting through the things that he got through, taught all of us at a really young age that it doesn't matter what mistakes you make. It doesn't matter how much time you've lost. It doesn't matter who's done what to you. There's always redemption. There's always forgiveness. God always forgives. There's always another chance. So with his life and experiences and the impact that they had on me and how I perceive the world, excuse me, especially with young men, especially seeing young men struggle, seeing my own struggles, I can always look back to him and something that he had or did or overcame and say, hey, this is similar, or it's not that bad, or it helps give me the motivation to say, hey, it's never too late. You're what, 15, 17? Oh, it's the end of the world. You're not going to graduate. Yeah. My dad was 40. He got out of prison, excuse me, where he thought he would die, and started a family and did pretty damn good, all things considered. But that's the nutshell with his story, whatever.
But like, okay, so you saying that when that's already when he's 40, but like when he was okay, when you were 10, 11, he was never around. Like
No, yeah, yeah. The
was he there to guide you to raise you
yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit?
He got out of prison in 1978, somewhere around 76,
Was he
78.
there like to raise
Yes,
you a
yeah.
little bit
So
or
he
no?
yeah he had me 4 or 5 years after he was out of prison. So I didn't know him in prison, but I knew his because of the people he met in there that he stayed in contact with. Some until the day he died.
Yeah.
Some were our uncles. You know how
Oh
that works.
yeah,
You know
yeah.
it's one of my dad's people, so that's Uncle so and so.
Yeah, yeah.
So those people being around and just the way that he lived, the way he never worked for anybody. It was always he always worked on his own dime.
Okay.
It was I'll go get it myself, and that drive, that independence, and not to talk him up as if he didn't fall short, because as you know, we do, and as you
Yeah.
know, it's not always pretty. But
Yeah.
hey, to see him manage it, sometimes it really puts things into perspective for me to say, hey, you got
Yeah.
this.
That's pretty cool. I was always wondering because like I'm not trying. I had messed up my life when I was younger a lot, and now I'm figuring out my life right now. But sometimes like I was wondering like maybe if you had the feeling like, dang dad, like why didn't you figure out your life a lot sooner? Did you ever have a feeling like that? Like why didn't you figure out your life a lot sooner? Because
Right.
maybe you could have taught me something a lot
Yeah,
sooner.
maybe we wouldn't have had to struggle or
That's
go
what I'm
through what we
saying.
did.
Have you ever had that feeling too? Or
I
no?
have, but I can say that, and this is something that, I've. This is something that I think I've really noticed more recently, where I'm starting to apply more of what I learned from him, my childhood, to young men. It's something where I almost have this resentment towards him, which this is a guy that, I mean, he was a living God to his family and people around him. I mean, he had a friend say at his funeral, I used to think he could walk on water. Like he was that serious to his people. So and we can go into stories about these famous people I've met, the places I've been with him because
Yeah.
of his contacts and all these people. So
Was he a gangster or something?
for the most part,
Was it like a biker club or like
well, he
was it like
so without getting too
yeah,
far.
you don't have to say the
Well, so
names.
not without getting too far into detail names,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
somebody could position and drop a pin. He, I will say he was. Sorry, allergies. I will say he was very close, like a brother, with a president of a very known motorcycle gang.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like
I
one
was
of the
wondering,
ones
yeah.
where you throw the name out,
Somebody would know.
you know right away. So I mean, but it wasn't just that. He had those people when he was in prison. It was the '60s. He was in the Aryan Brotherhood. That's known. They all know that. So, but when he was out of prison, he had a brother that was a black guy. So and that's another thing, and that always scrambled me when I was young, because I'm like, wait a minute, when he was in prison, he was in this, and I'd see this on the movies, and then when he's out here, this is his guy. Like
Yeah.
they're thick as thieves.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. So then with that, I learned real young what prison politics were and how things work in that regard, and how
Yeah.
when you're in certain situations, you just have to find a way.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's something that he struggled with. It's something that, again, with the not being not idolizing him not being the perfect role model, there was that flawed logic of, wait a minute, you do what you have to do, but you still have to draw a line somewhere. With Aryan Brotherhood and this, that, and the other. It's defective, it's ignorant. But when you're young and you have somebody you idolize and you don't make sense of certain things, you struggle with it. And like I said, just within the last month or so, it was, wait a minute, like, dad wasn't perfect. Holy shit. Like what happened? And then you start to dig into these things,
Yeah.
the more you dig into yourself, and,
Yeah.
but it's
So-
there's a lot there though.
So there was a point where he stopped all that stuff and he turned his life around for the good, like stopped all that stuff?
For the most part.
For the most part.
I think he, if I get this right, he got into some serious trouble when I was like a toddler, like maybe just walking or starting to walk. And this is where one of my uncles came from. He was doing things he shouldn't have been that would have gotten him a lot of prison time. And he had one of his partners took the rap and did what he did, 20 some whatever years ago. So he did go back to jail when I was, like a toddler. But then whatever happened, he got out of that. His partner went to prison for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years. First offense, whatever. And then that became another one of my default uncles. But there's a lot there.
Yeah,
it's hard to just mention certain things and not go into an all-out spiel of what it all is. But yeah.
So reflecting on all that, how did that shape you as a man?
So, I think that early on, especially when I was a young man, I took his, it wasn't hate, but it was right there. He was big on being hateful and hate, and he always just say hate's a strong word.
Yeah.
You don't say you hate something unless you shouldn't hate anything.
Yeah.
Love like Christ, but he did not. He had absolutely no trust in any type of establishment, organization. I mean, it could be the damn PTA. He wasn't having it.
So he didn't like groups at all.
Oh no, it had to be. He was raw. Whatever you need to do, go do it. You don't need a committee or a government or anything to do it. Just go do it and do what the hell you're gonna do, and tell me I can't and watch me. So I took that when I was young, and tried to apply that without his hardships and his experience and my raw, pitiful, soft, and I tried to emulate the things he did, and it got me in a lot of trouble, and it got me some reality checks, and I was right there. I mean, I was the only time I ever seen him cry, I was right there in court, and he was, it broke his heart, but that breaking his heart and me being in that much trouble, it clicked real quick, like, hey dude, that's over. And that was maybe a few years before I ended up meeting my wife and having kids and everything, but it definitely caused me to make a lot of mistakes and caused me a lot of hard lessons, because there was that flawed logic, and there wasn't somebody there to discuss these things and check and balance and say, hey, the OGs in the neighborhood and the people out in the street, yes, they are an asset, they are a resource, but they're not perfect. None of us are perfect. They have all these things, and that's great. And there are positives there. There's drive, there's integrity, but there's also flawed logic that we all have to hash out and figure out.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, okay, like, just how you said he didn't like following the rules, and we go back to what we were talking off camera. We're talking about your school and like how you this has to go through this, and it has to go through that.
Yeah, the bureaucracy.
Yeah, there has to be that. So like a person that just wants to go, it's hard.
That has been one of my biggest struggles. I mean, it's almost daily where I'm like, it's right here. All we have to do is this, and we can and fix this.
And they're like, no, it has to go through the Board of Education. It has to do this, and it has to.
And it's frustrating, but hey, man, those are those checks and balances. And we have to come to a point where, regardless of what's happened, regardless of what's broken, we have to start to communicate and trust each other again, and at least trust initially the, whatever it is, establishments, organizations, government, whoever you are blaming for whatever. Hey, let's take one time and cut that break, or take that wall down, or whatever it might be, and say, hey, it's getting critical. People are hurting. People are being, killed, losing everything. Let's at least try to talk and try to establish something.
Yeah, we you touched on it earlier. So how does your relationship with your dad and all that? How do you use that to coach these kids and teach these kids at school and stuff like that?
All right, there's a lot there too.
So what? Anyways, like how your dad he didn't like following rules. Like he didn't
Okay.
like this and he didn't like. So don't you use some of those things, techniques?
Oh yeah. So
You say he was a rebel, right?
yeah. Oh,
A
for
rebel
sure.
without a
Oh,
cause.
for sure. Oh, he had causes. He just had too many.
Yeah,
It was all a cause.
it sounds like I don't know him, but
Yeah,
from
it
what
was
you're
always attack
saying,
mode. So you asking that along with him being without a cause. The when we see the young people, in my humble opinion, one big thing that's lacking for them is direction. Excuse me. And it's not just with them though, it's with the adults as well. Get a drink real quick. Kids, not kids, students, athletes, student athletes, and adults, I think now more than ever are lacking direction. We have a lot. I think there's I don't know about a lot of people. There's enough people that have the energy and the drive and that are noticing things like, hey, this isn't right. Somebody needs to do this or that. And there's less of the someone needs to do something, and there's more I'm going to do something. And it doesn't have to be something big. But anyway, so with young people, I try to give them things that one I know is realistic and attainable. So especially with young people that have no direction, that have no parental support, no family, no guidance, what have you, and in order to build the trust, I try to give them something that they can attain fairly easily. Give them a goal that they can attain quickly. So then when I give them that task and then they attain that small goal or that small deed, now we've established a human relationship. There's something there.
Yeah,
So then
by it being small, it makes it a lot easier for them to get.
Right, and then
that's a good idea.
they start to say, well, hey, I can do things. I can believe in myself, and it's back to not the only reason, but one of the main reasons I'm here is to show them you can do this. You can go to Wait High School. You can be struggling. You can drop out. You can go back. You can quit again. You can go back, get your degree, fall off the face of the earth for a few years, come back, have a new vision, have a new dream, and then start to live and implement that dream.
That's kind of like how your dad taught you that, because your dad, like you said, he was always like here and there in jail, this, and he's still
it's like Jay-Z's
figuring out
blueprint.
his life.
Anytime I need a reference, it's somewhere in there. Where's it at? Yep, there it is. I remember that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he
it boils down to it, huh? Like it almost always falls back to like some lesson that your dad.
A lot of times it does, and with like the trauma and something that is out there more now than ever, especially with young men with trauma, and how we handle it, how we react to it. With him, I'm almost positive he was in a constant state of fight or flight. Just for him, it was always attack or take off.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And there wasn't. And he was all, when people say all gas, he was just all gas from, maybe from the time he was born. And for him, by the grace of God, he found a way to fix it and focus it. Okay. Now he has direction. Now his family was his purpose. God was his purpose. And for me, that's something that I struggled with a lot, and something with this new path, this new journey with teaching, coaching. That's something that has always pushed me along to say, hey, he did that, these kids can do that, I can do that, and it can all be reciprocal, and we can learn from each other and back and forth, whatever.
Why do you believe kids, especially males, are struggling so much today and nowadays and stuff like that?
So I think the big one where the cat's out of the bag is the lack of a parental figure, father figure in the home. So again, we all fall short. Look at my old man. Yeah. He was who he was. He was flawed, but he was there. He was, whatever the lesson was, he was there to teach it.
But do you believe he was flawed because someone before him didn't teach him the right way?
Definitely.
right?
Yeah. Well, for him, for sure, it was his dad died young.
Yeah.
World War II.
Course.
Drank himself to death.
So we can't blame your dad because if
No.
he didn't know, he can only teach you what he knew.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's up to us now to teach these kids now. Like I hate when I ask someone like for advice, like, "Hey, Robert, tell a kid advice," and it's not you, but someone says, "Well, I can't. I'm not the type of person to advise."
You don't rock the boat.
We are the people to give advice.
Yes.
We are two grown men sitting here on a podcast, hoping to get out there to tell these kids in Toledo that like we can't, like we are here to tell you, like
It's
we
a struggle,
can give advice.
but we earned
It's
it.
okay. You can give advice. You kids can give advice to the younger kids.
Yes.
Don't feel like you can't give advice to a younger kid because no, advice is no. We got to give advice.
It's you don't protect it. You don't hoard something that could be beneficial to people.
Of course.
Again, that's part of that flawed way of doing things, way of operating. If we're always out for ourselves, if we're always out for my promotion, for my award, for my I want you to notice me. Never mind me. I'm here to get their message, to get what they need to say out and how they're feeling out. So with the young men, with the lack of the male role model, and then something big that we all know, and I think we're all still kind of scrambling about, is before COVID, we weren't in great shape. As a society, the U.S., if we want to go that wide, we weren't in great shape. Our communities weren't in great shape. A lot of our public school districts were failing, and you can have whatever opinion you want about public schools, but without strong public schools, with the proper resources and good people providing for these students,
of course,
it doesn't work. And before COVID, it was in bad shape. COVID happened, and now it didn't magically change, but a lot of us are still trying those same methods and those same approaches, and nothing's happening. So then, as most of us, we want to look for something to blame. Hey, I'm working hard. I'm trying. Why isn't this working? It must be your fault. It must be the system. It must be them. They did it. It's their fault. No, it's our fault. We're all accountable. We're all here. We're not going anywhere. We're trapped here, wherever we are. And you can move. You can start reading new books. You can find a new girlfriend. But it's not going to change it. And it's not going to change that we're all accountable for each other, whether I like it or not. Most of the time, I don't like it. I don't like being accountable for people. I don't like my life being rough and hard because I have to give a student a ride somewhere or do something for them. And it is difficult, but there's a reward in it that's like no other.
I know.
Because I get to see them grow. I get to see them receive the tiniest favor, the tiniest bit of advice, and take that and use it and implement it. And who knows, maybe it could change their life. It could, how kids find the smallest thing and make that their own.
Yeah. So you're not scared to tell them advice when they ask you for advice?
Oh no, I keep it legal. I try not to hold anything back.
What does that mean? Hold on. What does that mean?
Like contractually, where I won't get fired.
Oh, okay.
If I won't get fired for it, I give it and I tell it as much as I possibly can. Because
so you keep it raw, like a raw conversation without saying anything crazy.
I have to because that's where we're at. We're beyond the point of buttering it up. We're beyond the point of me making you comfortable I can help them. I don't care about your comfort. People are suffering and struggling, and your comfort doesn't matter no more, as mine doesn't matter. It's irrelevant because I'm in a position where I can do certain things. So until I'm out of that position, I'm going to continue to do what I can.
And do you tell them to keep it raw with you and tell you the truth?
Definitely. And
criticize you as because if you're going to tell them some things, you should be able to accept it also.
Yes. And I tell them, hold me accountable. I insist. There was something. Oh man, it was there was one of them. I didn't call him back, or I missed a practice. That's what it was. I missed a practice. So next day at school, Coach Smith, you weren't in practice, bro. You weren't in practice.
What happened? Where was you at?
Right. So the other one's like, man, quit giving him a hard time. He was doing such and such. I said, no, give me a hard time. You need to ask me why I'm not at practice. Look, if you're not here with me, where are you and what are you doing? You're my coach. I'm trying to learn football. I'm trying to become a man. Why aren't you here helping me? You need to be here. Now, if I'm doing something in regards to that, like my wife and I trying to get them fed over the summer, then I can tell them, hey, I wasn't here because my wife and I was working on getting you guys some food.
You can explain it to them.
Right, and then
they deserve an explanation.
Yeah, they know that it's not Uncle Jim that they ain't seen in 6 months, went to get the milk, as the kids say, and now who knows where he went. Well, you know where I'm at, I'm telling you. And no, don't not say it. Hold me accountable because I'm damn sure going to hold you accountable.
Yeah. So how does your personal journey, like how does that like connect you with kids so good? Like why are you such a good teacher? Why are you such a good coach?
So I think it's kind of like the cosmic lottery with just being in East Toledo and mainly it's when I go into a classroom, when we're at a sporting event, whatever it is, I'm gonna know a handful of kids, students, wherever I'm at. I either coached them, I either directed them. They're friends with our kids. We went to school with their parents, whatever it might be, and especially in the weight community, that's a big part. A big part of it for me, and I guess I'm lucky in that regard compared to my colleagues per se, where students can walk in and they know who I am. And I instantly have that line of trust, like bam. And
does it feel good like you're almost back in high school?
Sometimes sometimes it's like there's things that might pop up that maybe you forgot, and it's like, so I was talking to
I've always wondered that.
Well, there was at lunch the other day, there's a teacher that was there when we were there, and I asked him, I'm like, hey, like, when does it stop being so bizarre? Like I went to school here and now I'm here. And here's the thing though, I hated school.
I know.
I hated school.
I remember.
And
You told me
so
that
hard.
on the last podcast.
Oh
remember?
Man, I hated it.
You said you hated school,
But
and I was like,
necessary.
well, how did you become a teacher?
It's necessary, and that helps me with them too. And I tell them that. I tell them, like, I did not like school. I did not want to be here. I wanted to wear my hoodie when I was here, and when I was here, up until I was about 15, I would do anything I could to get kicked out and go home and be suspended.
Oh, do you feel like you're like a big kid inside, and now you're back in high school, and now like
they keep me young.
You really like? No, I was thinking like maybe like your psychology is like, I'm still a kid. No, I'm back in high school, but now I'm just a teacher. You know what I mean? I got like a teacher's hat on, but but really I'm just a kid back in high school.
It is like that at times. It is when they get going, or if I'm mixed up in whatever they got going on, and I just kind of become a part of it, and then after the fact, it's like you were doing what they were doing as I'm one of them.
Yeah.
So
feels kind of cool.
It's pretty bizarre.
It's almost like you don't have like a real job.
It is. It really is.
Because like if you work at a factory, you're all day putting that rivet in.
Yeah.
But like you're at school hanging out with a bunch of kids, listening like, oh, Johnny got in a fight with Billy and this, and then it's just like a bunch of like,
It is, and like they have these, some of them have these problems and they're so big. Oh my God, we broke up. Oh my God, my I spilled Kool-Aid on my shoe. Oh my God.
Yeah, and you're like, oh my God, you can't. Man. You're like, oh my God, you're gonna have so many real problems.
My old man used to say, you're gonna get your turn. Don't worry. You just think it's bad.
All right, so I want to ask you a little bit about coaching. What does coaching football? How does coaching football impact your life? Period.
So, football.
You don't have to tell me like 7. You could just tell me 1.
So I think that
because I'm sure it impacts a lot.
Oh yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot, and football, specifically right now, because I've coached just about every sport. Over the years, just about every age. And I think I'm at high school football right now, specifically because of my passion for young men that are in danger, and whether you like it or not, and whether you want to admit it or not, and whether you are paying attention or not, they are. And it's critical. So football.
Tell me exactly what do you see, because I think I know what you're saying,
Yeah.
but what do you see, because you're more around kids than me.
So
What is the danger for young men?
the big thing we see is at the high school level. The big thing we see is, again, and this is this isn't TPS or weights position on this.
Yeah.
This is me.
You personally.
Yes, this is my personal opinion.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with your job or anything.
Yes, it's based on what I've seen and lived and understand. Right now, there's young men specifically coming in that we can't coach them at a high school level for whatever reason, whether it's math, English, social skills, their home life, whatever it might be. And I think in the past, there was enough room. I think there was enough room for you to have maybe a problem with your community. Okay, well, we have this, and this. Okay, we have a problem with for whatever reason, the kids can't read. Okay, well, we have this, and this. These are our strengths. But now, with the shape that we were in, COVID, and then now, I think that it's just become overwhelming to the point where
they're like years behind, right?
They can't. It's like the students, teachers, coaches, really everybody involved, not just in the building. Like, I mean, the neighbors, the people around the school, the boosters, you name it. All parties involved I think are stressed because a lot of people genuinely don't know what to do. And for an adult with students or as a coach coaching, not knowing what to do is terrifying.
So it's like it's not one thing now. So now, like you said before, maybe a young man had one of those problems, but now it's like multiple of those problems.
Right, and it's maybe they're lacking at, let's say for example they aren't reading anywhere near the level they should be.
Yeah, struggling with their grades.
Right, and a lot goes into that, and you know as well as I do, if your home life's not up to par, and you are struggling with reading, and you are not being fed, and you have, I don't know, a kid down the street that him and his buddies want to jump on you because your shoes are a different color. Whatever the reasons are, they're coming here, and for a lot of them it's just overwhelming, and they're either just punching out and leaving, or they're really trying to do it. And that's the part where when you see them doing your best, you have kids, when you see your kid doing their best to no avail and getting no results, it's frustrating. You're like, what am I doing wrong? Is something wrong with you? So when you see it in them, it's the same way for me. It's
So what do you think we need to start doing? This
lots of it.
Having a conversations.
In regard to young men, older men need to come together, talk, and whatever our differences are, pick one. I mean, we can complain and nitpick and point as much as you want, but here's the bottom line: if young men aren't being fed, and young men don't have a basic high school education, they're hardwired to want to have a sense of pride, and men are hardwired to provide and protect. If we're not giving them the bare necessity to be able to provide and protect and feel somewhat good about themselves, then we're completely failing them. We have to give them something. And that's just how it works. And we can agree with it or disagree with it.
No, I completely agree with you. And that's a lot of the stuff that I do on my social media. Not only this podcast, but my workout videos.
Right.
And then also my stuff with my wife. I promote strong marriage. I promote, there's a study where a lot of young men, up to 25-year-old men haven't had sex yet. A lot of people are more worried about just porn. They're more worried about these goggle things.
We're losing our humanity.
They're more worried about that kind of stuff than actually getting a wife, a girlfriend, having a family. And that's not what I promote.
No.
I promote on my social media. I promote having a loving, caring family, promote working out. Because I believe that if you wake up and start going to the gym every day and you start that little dedication,
Yeah, that discipline.
that little discipline, it leads to that next little discipline, which leads to the next one.
Yeah, it's like
and the next
dominoes.
one.
Yeah, and you
And then
add to
all
it.
of a sudden you look in the mirror,
Yeah.
you see yourself looking a little better, and then it just gives you, it's like, I need to start eating better.
Yeah.
Then you start eating better, and then you start seeing yourself a little better. You're like, I need to do this.
Yeah,
I need
can
to
do
start
this
taking care of
now.
my
Yeah,
skin.
you start to
I need
believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go get a haircut every week, because it's all about seeing yourself look better.
Yeah.
Once you see yourself look better and people see you look better, it starts feeding you some positive, like, to make you like a
Yeah,
positive.
they need that. That's a big one, and I think another big one is, and this isn't just schools. I think it's adult children. We have to get back to more guidance and helping them along than telling them what to do, giving them reprimands, because here's the thing, they're obviously not reacting well to that. So knowing that, be a little more receptive, be a little more empathetic to the person you have in front of you, and for that matter, adult or student, but especially with young people. We have to let them know it's going to be okay, because they're worried. They weren't in school for all this time. They missed all that time and when you're young and your brain's developing, that is critical. And when you lose that much time, there's going to be an impact. There's going to be fallout. And if we don't take care of that fallout now, they're going to be taking care of it with their grandkids. And God knows what it will be by then.
They said that them couple years, I don't know if this is true, but I heard that it's going to set the United States back 10 years.
I believe it.
Just them 2 years of no school or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It's gonna set us back 10 years. And the rate we were going, the rate we were going before COVID.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it just backed us up.
Yeah, any growth just.
So all these kids got to start learning how to read. The little 5-year-olds, they were gonna go to school. Now they're like 7 starting school.
And then in high school, it's so we have like the seniors that are graduating now. They had those years off, so the seniors that are graduating, they missed those experiences. They missed that social development,
I know, my
the
daughter.
interaction, right? So firsthand what they
my
missed.
daughter graduated. We had to go like just me and her mom with the mask, and she was just by herself on a thing. Nobody was there.
Yeah, and that's
Like,
I mean, that does something. I mean,
that was
again,
horrible, bro.
regardless, right, wrong, whatever it is.
Her
it happened.
graduation, like, not that many people could have went because everybody was masked up.
Right.
It was just.
And it's not, and I think that people struggle with that too, just getting back to normal and getting back to it being okay to socialize and network and talk. And
that's why I'm glad I started this podcast like right after all COVID and stuff, because I figured, like, this whole thing right here, this is a little production and stuff, but I swear, Robert, this right here is a good thing for me.
Oh, yeah, this is legit for
I
sure.
I cleaned 3 houses today, right?
Yeah.
I came here, I set everything up, I fixed the camera, I moved the couches, but the whole time I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm like, Robert's coming, we're gonna talk about
I was a little
this.
excited. I was more nervous.
Yeah, but I was nervous too. I get butterflies. I was nervous too, But the thing is, with you, I wasn't that nervous because I already sat down with you and had this is my second podcast with you. So I really wasn't too nervous. And then I just feel like this right here is like, it almost feeds my soul. I get to talk to you. Since COVID,
if I didn't think it was a good thing and for real, I would not be here.
I know.
I don't give my attachment or whatever to very many people.
I
so
know.
I mean,
and the thing with you, man, I appreciate you so much, because ever since that me and you've talked since the first message that we've talked, you've helped me with my podcast. You promoted everything. The events that I've went to, you've helped me promote them on the newsletter for the Toledo's Top Talent.
Always will. Yep.
You've helped me, and then I 100%, and I appreciate you
Yeah, no
so
problem,
much.
man. I know a good thing when I see it.
Yeah,
That's for
because I'm
sure.
not doing this, and I'm not doing this for no money. I
Right.
told you these podcasts all cost me money.
Yeah.
Eventually, I want to get sponsors and stuff like
If
that.
I had money, I'd pay you.
I know. No, and I don't. And the thing is, I don't want the guests to pay.
Right.
I want the sponsors. I want to have a couple sponsors in the background,
You will.
and I want them to pay so they can help me with my dream, which my dream is to help you guys
Definitely.
promote. So it'll be like a three thing prong. Like they're gonna help me. They're gonna help me promote you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You
And
know
it's
what
all,
I
it's
mean?
all that's our little
Yeah.
network. We can do that at our community level the same way it's done at a state, national, worldwide. We apply that right to our local neighborhood community level,
Yeah.
and you keep inspiring that. You keep bringing people to do this, and then in time, we talk enough, we do enough, and then we
Yeah.
start to see real
And you
change.
know what else I want to do? This is not 100%, but I want to get eventually I want to get my own little studio,
Yeah.
and I want to get my wife to have a podcast. So then you can come on my podcast, and then talk about the city of Toledo,
Yeah.
the school, the coaching, and then you can go on her podcast, talk about that
Right.
with her,
Yeah, and then
and
her people will be
that's what
they're
I'm
going to be
saying.
receptive to other people
Yeah.
and do it
And
that
then
way.
like your wife, she can go
Yep.
on my wife's podcast and talk about certain things that maybe she'll feel more comfortable talking with a
Right.
woman.
Right.
And my wife wants to talk about things in the city. We want to help people grow. So we're going to have like a little studio. So a little corner is going to be mine, a little corner is going to be
Yeah, I
hers,
like
and
that.
something like that. And then maybe we're going to have like set up where maybe I kind of maybe want to have other people to have do podcasts.
I will someday, I
So
think.
like
Yeah.
like maybe like so somebody like you want to rent that corner, sit down there and do a podcast
Yeah.
also. I think that would be cool. So I
That'll
wanted
work.
to ask you. You told me you got like a new gig at the school, the IT. Can you tell me a little bit about
All
that?
right. So
What happened with that?
so I'll go back when we did our last podcast. I'm pretty sure I had
You're a
just been
substitute teacher,
I had
right?
just been told I would be a long-term sub at Wait. So and then I think I found out after that it was the IT room and the what was going on there,
Okay.
whatever. So without going super into detail, the idea is that now I do what I need to do to stay there and be certified and take the route that I need to take to keep that position.
Okay.
And that's where we're at now. As of now, I'm still a long-term sub. As far as I know, I'll be at Wait next year as a long-term sub as of right now. But the hope is that I stay there. I start finding community partners for the students. Start finding how we're gonna use that program to do everything that we're talking about and really everything that you're trying to do, and use that the best way we can to help the community and connect all of that together. Community, sports, school, and just have a flourishing relationship with more people, and to get more people to see and be less anxious and be more receptive to young people from the city or from terrible neighborhoods, and if people like us can find people like them and connect them to people that maybe don't understand them, then it just works out better for all of us. That's my big goal almost always, is to make things work. I mean, I'm not looking for
So
money. I just want to be able to look and say, hey, this is starting to work.
so then how, that's what you're gonna the IT position. That's what it is. Like
Yeah, it's
what is the
so
actual?
it's like there's
You're gonna be fixing computers and
Yep.
stuff,
So
right?
yep. So it's some's online, some is lab work. It's like sophomore, juniors, seniors. The sophomores are an hour, juniors, seniors. It's a 2-hour block. The goal is to have the seniors in like internships, hopefully paid internships with again, hopefully if
Yeah.
everything works out,
Yeah.
to have them working with local people, somebody like you, for example, and make those connections and start to so for example, if John Doe senior year he comes here, he learns how to do this stuff, he's being paid for it. John Doe's little brother sees that. The kids from the neighborhood see it. Oh, hey, he's from here. He's my neighbor. He's in school, making money.
Yeah.
Doing this and that. And the goal is to just in time, and it's hard work, and it's very stressful sometimes, but it's necessary. And the reward is in seeing someone from, say, this demographic and someone from this demographic that never would have met or interacted with each other, connecting them, and then seeing that relationship grow and maybe turn into something that bears fruit.
Yeah,
That's
awesome.
always the long-term goal
Yeah,
of just about all of it.
So that's basically okay. So what do you mean, like the person from this world and this world? How do you get them?
So
At school, you figure out two different worlds and put them together.
yeah. So if let's say, for example, you're an app developer, and you're I don't know the most I guess the standard demographic that an app developer would come from, but let's say it's Silicon Valley.
Okay.
I think we can all visualize Silicon Valley. So somebody that's there, from there, doing business there, it most likely it would never enter their arena, say a 15-year-old kid from East Toledo.
Okay, yeah.
So if we
that's
can, so if we can connect somebody that is from this area, from this neighborhood, and it's going to be great for them too, because if they see people like this, for example, when I was young and in elementary schools, the neighborhood I live in now is where rich people lived, but it's not where rich people live. It's by Oakdale. I mean, it's lower middle class, whatever. So there's a lot of times where if I seen people from that demographic, I avoided them because those weren't my people. So if we can start connecting people with people that aren't their people, then we can have real growth. Then we can say, okay, I notice this from this other group that was never in my atmosphere. They were nowhere around. I didn't even know these people existed. But now I've met them. I've seen how they work. I've seen how they, how intelligent they are, how much energy they got, whatever it is. And that's another thing too. The potential that a lot of these young people have, it's unreal. And and again, it's getting the focus. It's getting them in those relationships where they can look at somebody and say, hey, this person is doing good business. I want to be successful. I want to get out of here. I don't want to live this way. So if I emulate this guy, if I do what he's doing, girl, whoever, then I can start to be successful. I'm not going to go develop apps and be a millionaire overnight, but I can, start to learn about what an app is, how it works. How do I, open and close it? With the most basic things, a lot of students don't know those things. We might assume that they know those things, but they don't. So, and it's back to the more we can give them, the more options we can give them, the more we can, build bridges between people. Really, the better off we're going to be.
So, so you live in that. You said that life where your dad was like, a biker. Like, did you go to like the same school your whole life? Or how was yours?
That's a good one. So I started back to the different strokes for different folks.
Because when you were talking there, I was wondering that because you're talking about two different worlds. So I'm like, how many? I'm thinking, how many worlds were you in?
So I'll try to remember this the best I can. So I started at Washington local schools.
You were born here in Toledo?
Yep, born in Toledo Hospital. I started in Washington local. We moved to Florida, outside of West Palm Beach. Went to school. I'm pretty sure that was the one where there was a very large Haitian community. So my dad did construction roofing, and he worked with like 4 or 5 Haitians. So I got to see how they live, see how they operate, work, talk, eat, act, all of it. So we leave Florida, come back. We lived all over Toledo. I went to Marshall boroughs. We moved back to Florida. Then we're living St. Petersburg. There, I'm pretty sure it was Laotian. maybe, and it was Eastern descent. I remember because I remember being like, "There's a lot of people that don't look like me." But so we lived there, got to experience that. Came back, and then that's when we ended up in East Toledo, East Side Central, East Toledo, and I mean, I've left here and there, but I've pretty much been around here since.
And then you went to Wade, right?
Yep.
But you went to another high school also, right?
No, not high school.
No?
Yeah, just so I went six elementary schools.
So damn, so you've been to like over 10 different schools.
Yeah.
Did you get kicked out of some of them, or?
Well, I think.
You said you hated school.
Oh yeah, I did. It actually, and then the first time I got an in-school suspension, I never got suspended again because I just no more vacation. But yeah, it was so because we moved. It was always hard to make friends.
Okay, yeah.
I was always a new kid, and everybody has to test a new kid, and whatever it was, it was always and back to that flawed logic. My old man not really caring much about the schools and what they have to offer and what they're telling me. You know, if I did anything, he immediately defended me.
Yeah, he just took your side.
Oh yeah, and it was full throttle. Yeah. I mean, he was ready
to burn the school down.
He'll burn the world. He'll push the big red button, all because I misspoke or didn't raise my hand. Like he's ready to burn it all.
Dad, I just sharpened the pencil wrong.
And then I'm young, and I'm like, yeah, get him, Dad. So yeah.
Yeah, you're like, man, my dad loves me.
Man, yeah, he's really telling them.
So all these experiences with how does all these experiences shape you, like, to deal with kids? Like, that's what I want to know. Like, how you, because you deal with kids, and you have kids also, like your own kids, right?
Yep, 13 and will be 13 and 15.
So these experiences throughout your life with all these different schools, your dad being a rebel, your dad never following the rules. How did all those experiences guide you to guide little kids?
Very difficultly.
Are you? Yeah. Are you
it's really hard sometimes. But yeah, it really paints a really good picture for me of what to do and what not to do. It also it helps me identify really quick what a student is probably feeling or however they react to something. I can usually get a pretty quick read, like, because it's something that I've directly felt before, and I've been around so much and I've felt so much of it from so many different sources that it's almost by default. Where regardless of who it is or the predicament they're in, most of the time I get almost an instant read. So because I understand what's happening to them, I understand what to say to them in that instant, and then the relationship starts, and then now we have something reciprocal and we can grow together.
So earlier you were talking about the fight, flight, or fear.
Oh yeah, fight or flight.
That right there. Those are three things. Do you recommend, like, what do you think about those three things? I have an opinion, but tell me a little bit about those.
I think that it's part of us.
Each one of us got all three of them, right?
Yep, and I think that it's the most useful thing we have. But it goes back to when you have that instinct, with no restraint or harness. That's who my old man was. That's who, a lot of these people we see that are just, you know them when you see them. There's no restraint. It's full go. So, I just think that knowing that, seeing that, understanding that helps me with the even keel and
okay, let me say what I think.
Okay.
So I know that we use all three of them, right?
Yep.
But we have to know when to use them properly.
Know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know
because
when to run.
you don't want to run at all situations. But there's a situation where if you see a gun and you have to run, you have to run.
You should be running.
Then there's situations where you have to stand and fight. Because if that gun's coming and your wife and your kids are there, you have to stand and fight.
You don't have a choice.
You have to fight.
Right.
But the freeze one, man, is kind of scary because I think that's the one you kind of like have to avoid, because when what if that situation's coming, right? The guy's coming with the gun, you and your wife and your kids. You can't freeze.
Yeah.
You got to fight or you got to run. There's either the freeze one is like, maybe if you I was thinking maybe if you're gonna, I think one time I was gonna get jumped, right? I walked into a bar. Me and my family had jumped all these guys,
Oh yeah, I
and
got
it was
some of
like
those stories.
big bar fight. And I walked into the back of a bar, and I walked in, and it was all of them. And I remember I froze.
Yeah, you don't know what to
I
do.
just froze because
Yeah.
and I just remember waking up. They jumped me and they beat the hell out of me, kicked me out the bar, broke my arm, and I just woke up and I just froze because it was just I had no other choice. I couldn't fight. I couldn't run. I was
Yeah.
outflanked.
Yeah, it was
So I
too
think that's the only
unfamiliar.
time that you can come up with with one of those is when you're gonna get
Yeah, I
murdered,
get those when
or
I get
maybe if
like
a
real anxious. Yeah.
tiger's gonna like maul you. You
Yeah,
gotta just like
bear.
you gotta
Oh,
like
what do I do?
freeze and like
Yeah.
just die, I guess.
I think that with with the fight or flight with discipline, it's
Yeah,
like you said, it's knowing when to use it, how to use it. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
the NFL, that's what that is. It's tapping into that primal source, or UFC, MMA,
yeah, yeah.
boxing, combat sports. It's being able to tap into that, but having the discipline to know when to stop, to know your parameters, your boundaries.
Yeah.
That's a big one too, boundaries,
Yeah, but
knowing
you
what
can't
boundaries to
you
set.
can't run either, like your whole life. Like
No,
that flight. What is it? The flight
like,
one?
yeah, I'm just
Yeah,
running.
because like some people run from every situation.
They do, yeah.
Like that's
Because, yeah,
like we were saying, like your dad, like in the beginning of his life, he just like ran. Dude, same thing with my dad.
yep, don't face it. Keep
ran
fighting.
from ran
Yep,
from us. Like as soon as he had kids, he ran from us. As soon as like he had another daughter with another Ryan, he just always been running. So
right,
I believe that we have to sit and fight for what we want.
definitely.
I believe that we have to sit and like if we run, we can only run from situations where we're probably gonna get murdered.
Yeah, where it could be really bad. Yeah, yeah.
But
All right,
other than
time to
that, we
go.
gotta sit and fight, especially for our family and for all that.
Yeah, and it's really to the point where I don't think we have a choice anymore. It just has to happen, and you know, with faith especially, that has helped me in saying this is for God, and praying and saying, send me where I'm needed. Make sure that I'm doing what I need to do, you know, to help keep me where I need to be, where you
Yeah,
need me to be, not where I need to be, not where I want to be,
yeah,
not where I
yeah.
like to be. I would like to be at Cedar Point,
Yeah, on a
Universal.
beach in
Oh yeah, the
Miami.
resort. Oh man, that was a
Yeah,
blast.
where God
Universal.
wants you to be.
Right, right. And where we need to be for all of
For
us.
humanity,
Right.
for us, for all of us
Right.
here in Toledo.
And if you don't know what to do, if you don't know where to go, if you don't know what to say, walk out your front door and you'll find something. It'll take you about 5 seconds. You'll see some garbage.
Yeah,
You'll see some kids misbehaving.
yeah,
Don't
yeah.
go yell at them and say, get off my lawn. You know, check it out. Listen, see what they're doing. You know, maybe you have some input that will help them stop misbehaving. Look to guide, don't look to correct.
Yeah.
Because obviously the correction system's broken, and we can have that conversation about the income gap in the world's biggest prison population, and how as the income gap gets bigger, the prison population gets bigger.
Well,
That's not coincidence.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. We'll save that one for the next
Definitely.
one. But I wanted to ask you, what are some of the biggest challenges coaches and teachers have right now in 2023 with the kids they have?
I think the biggest one of the biggest ones, the first one that comes to mind is the relationship between school and parent community, whatever it might be. And it's really, with all of the time and energy I've spent on it, there's not a single thing to point to. There's been fault and problems on both ends of that.
Yeah.
And the time of saying you did this wrong, you did that wrong, and again, it's that has to be over. And we have to eliminate the disconnect between the student, school, and community home, whatever it might be, because whatever we have to do, we have to get the community aligned with the school, aligned with the student. And that can just be when you get that fifth phone call that your child is misbehaving. There's probably a pretty good chance they're misbehaving. If your kid got a referral for the fourth time because they got up and went to the bathroom, they may not be going to the bathroom. They may be running from the math they don't know how to do. talk about that.
Yeah, they
Bring
might
that
be
up.
hitting
Right.
hitting a vape.
Right, and
in the
instead of
bathroom.
just say, "Oh, well, how dare you to let my kid use the bathroom?" Say, "Well, what happened before that?" Maybe something, or maybe they're not letting them go to the bathroom. And if that's the case, then you say, "Hey,
Yeah.
what has happened to the point where my kid can't use the restroom?" But the answer is not to go all out, and make a
war.
big stink or whatever it is.
yeah.
Hey, we have to be human. We have to be grown-ups. We have to talk. And here's what's at stake. Everything is at stake.
Yeah.
These are kids that are at stake.
Our future.
Yes, and like it or not, you don't have to like it. It's reality. And
These people are
need
gonna
us.
these kids right now are gonna be adults,
Yeah.
and they're gonna be running everything here in Toledo.
Yeah, they're responsible. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Just like you're a teacher now. One day you were a kid that hated school.
I tell them all the time, I can't wait until I'm at home with my feet up, eating my Lucky Charms for like 20 years straight. I would love that.
Okay, so
But it ain't time for that.
yeah. Okay, so you said the connection between teachers. So how do we fix that? Is there an app? Is there something that where we can connect the student,
a good
the
idea.
parent, and they're all three on the same almost like a text,
Right.
But like where you send a message, or the teacher or the student sends a message, and it's like all three of you guys get the same.
So we have that, and it's
like a public
like
school
the parent
app.
portal, Google Classroom, and I think that both sides get discouraged with something like that, where maybe the teacher has sent out the invite, whatever it is, 4, 5, 6 times, you're not getting nothing back, and it just becomes a matter of not even getting frustrated. It's a matter of, I only have time to do so much.
Yeah.
So I sent it, it didn't happen.
That's
okay, moving on. Or on the other side, maybe the parent sent something, teacher didn't respond. So again, it's back to look, I understand, it's frustrating, a lot has happened. Take one more chance, reach out one more time. Try to be a little more receptive, try to be a little more understanding. And I think just us doing that in general and trying to apply that in general is good, but especially when it's involving the future of our kids, like it or not. And again, like it or not, if your kids are in a Catholic school, a private school, a public school, the majority is still in public schools. The majority is still counting on that,
of course,
for their livelihood. And if we can't give a good public education, we're in trouble.
Yeah, of course, because 99% of students in the whole United States go to public schools.
It's.
I mean, I don't know about 99,
it's a lot.
but 90.
Right. It's a big number. And let's say it wasn't. Let's say it was only 5%.
Yeah.
That's a lot. 5% of kids is a lot of kids.
It's not. It's
right.
It's
it's
the bigger. It's the bigger, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine.
It is.
Right?
And
it's free.
And it's like, if maybe if it was something else, if it was I don't know, if that many kids were getting rashes on their face,
Yeah, I know.
there would be an uproar.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But
crazy.
we have hard data to show it.
Yeah.
It's not a stipulation.
When the pandemic was going on, for every single day they would be like, "Oh my God, 3 people died in Toledo. 3 people died in Toledo." They're like, bro, not that long ago there was like a couple murders and nobody even cared.
Right. Yeah, there was a body somewhere.
Yeah, and nobody cared when there was a couple murders.
Yeah.
Or last year 300 people died from some other cigarette
thing, right.
or some other thing. No one cared. But now, oh my God, someone died from COVID in Toledo. There was 3 deaths. And it's very important. Yeah,
Definitely.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry for anybody that went
sure,
through that.
For sure.
But they're making a big deal about all that stuff. But look, bro, go look outside. There's people sleeping under the bridge.
Yeah.
There's little kids walking around. There's little kids walking around with no shoes on from school. There's like
they're not robbing and stealing because they think it's a video game. They're doing what they're doing for a reason,
bro.
Right.
There's kids right now. If you go drive by Raymer School, go drive by those alleys. There's like little kids. They're just like sitting out. I just drove by, me and my nephew, like just sitting outside with no shoes on, just walking around in the dirt, playing around. I'm like it doesn't look. I'm like, the kids don't even look like their parents. Their parents are inside the house, probably doing some kind of drug, drinking a beer,
There's a pretty
hanging
good chance.
out.
Yep.
Like, and it's on Raymer. Like it's not a very dangerous neighborhood, but it was like close to the street, and the little kid was right there, and I was driving like 20 miles an hour, and I'm like, man,
Yeah, what's going on?
I'm like, that one more step and that kid could get ran over.
Yeah.
You don't even
It
like.
makes you wonder, like where, what, who's
Like
where.
who's feeding him, who's taking care of him,
Right.
like that's why I want to start this podcast, because like I know that little by little I'm gonna build a building.
It's working.
Like
It's working.
I'm just doing this little right now. I rent this room. Eventually, I'm gonna rent this. Eventually, Big Yogi'Z Garage is gonna be a building, and I want it to be something special.
I hope I'm here for all of it.
Yeah, and you will, and then,
For sure.
because I think that eventually, if I keep dreaming big and I keep putting all my dreams out there, I'll get the right person to be on my team to actually give me the money to help me.
Oh yeah, it'll work.
With my dreams.
It'll work. I mean, I've just in the last year or so, I've changed a lot of different directions and changed it's like the whiteboard, we just erased it and wrote some new stuff up there, and now we're doing that.
Yeah,
It's hard.
It feels good though.
Oh, it does. It's so rewarding.
Yeah.
It's so rewarding.
You look good too, man.
Appreciate it.
You cut your beard off and stuff.
It started as me trimming it because I was getting hot, and then I got it too far down, and then I had to.
You've been working out too, or what?
Walking mostly, but walking. I try not to be hard,
I thought maybe you was doing some pushes.
No, I need to. I need to. Once now that football is picking up, I'll start getting.
Oh yeah, because now you got to actually be out there with the kids, right?
I'm there. I might as well do a little running and lifting.
Yeah. All you gotta do is lifting, bro. Because you're not like obese or fat or nothing.
I've been here before, man.
Bro, I know. And then you said you used to work out. You was looking so good.
Yeah, I go up and down.
Oh, you gotta just start
Once
you get in there with them kids, just start hitting them again, and you'll see, man. You'll get right back.
I've been thinking about it. I've been trying to prepare myself because I know it's coming.
Yeah. Hey, so I always ask people, like, towards the end of my podcast, what's your biggest goals? What's your dreams for the future, man?
So I'd say probably, I mean, there's a lot. I of course want to be, have a full-time teaching position where I know I'm secure. So, I hope that everything works out. But coaching, I don't think I'll ever stop coaching. I think that outside of the teaching and coaching, we definitely want to have some sort of nonprofit or something where we can if need be, rely on ourselves and our network to make sure that things are being done in our direct community. So I think that's kind of a short-term thing. I at church this last Sunday, I just brought up to the deacon that I would like to, my family would like to start the process of me doing that. So with the Catholic Church, it takes, I think it's 6 years, something along those lines, once you start the process. But we kind of talked about that. So I mean, that's something that that we have valued more in the last year or so. And I've always had faith. I've always had a relationship with God. Back to my old man. Never mind the church. No good. All you need is the Bible and the Word, baby. So, and I was that, and I went with that. But it got to a point where, again, that lack of direction and being in when you're somebody that is very used to operating in fight or flight, if you don't have direction, you don't have long. So with that, it gives me that direction. It makes sure that I stay devoted. It makes sure that I'm staying on that right path with faith and my family and everything else. But that's one of the big long-term goals. And mainly, just seeing real generational change in our community. East Toledo, the weight community mainly. And even if I'm not in the school, not in the classroom, we're still going to be involved in the community. It's going to be harder, or maybe not even harder. It's going to be different. It's going to be a different experience. There's going to be new challenges. The bottom line is we know our purpose. We know what we want to do. And it's see real change and see real growth in our community. And then after that, who knows?
Yeah, that's awesome. Hey, when you the whole time today, when I ask you things, you keep saying we.
We.
Yeah. So when you say we, who is we?
So you, my family,
Yeah.
God.
Okay.
After that, anybody, there's certain coaches, teachers, neighbors.
Okay. Yeah.
There's
People like a group of us that are doing
right,
positive,
yeah,
like
and
good
people that
things.
that you align with. There's no redundancy. You aren't wasting any time. That where we can connect and say this is off, this is off. Okay, let's do this, and then we know there's going to be some sort of action or follow
Yeah.
through.
Who's your strongest supporter?
My wife, for
Yeah. What's
sure.
your wife's name?
Julie. Yeah,
Julie.
Mrs. Smith.
Yeah. How important is Julie to you?
She's it, man. She's what she is why I'm what I am today. With and there is no possible way that I'm doing what I'm doing today, and I'm doing really anything at all without her.
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe she doesn't realize that all the time. Maybe I don't
Yeah.
say it all the time,
Yeah.
but it's a definite. Between her and when we met and everything and really faith.
Yeah.
Her faith, family. The kids are pretty supportive.
Yeah.
They're pretty good about not giving me too hard of a time.
Yeah.
But
So
yeah,
you threw Smitty away for your wife?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say he's dead. He's really buried.
Yeah.
That's the fight guy. Like I
Yeah.
gotta leave him.
Yeah,
I don't want to tap. When you tap into that, it's always messy.
Yeah.
It's always, you're always gonna have something to clean up. There's always fallout.
Yeah.
So part of me limiting myself is not going to that. And by me doing that, it helps me with the young people too, because it's like, hey, I know where this goes, and you're about to be there. I just broke up a fight today.
You did?
In the table, each other's face, one through water, one through food, and I'm like, and I jumped in between them, and he's wait till we get out of lunchroom. I'm like, you guys are buddies, man. Like, hold on, what are you talking about? Wait a minute. And they that little break, that little second, and they'd sit back down, but it's like, I know what happens next. It gets real messy. And I the one I said, like, if you do this, you're getting arrested, because these are big guys, and I think they're pretty tough guys. They seem like that. I mean, they were gonna make a mess of things, and there's there's other ones there too. But it's like, but me seeing that and knowing it and understanding it in that situation, it helped. And who knows what would have happened if I wasn't there to say what I said and do it the way that I did it. But
that's awesome.
God knows.
Hey, Robert, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. What? Just one last thing. What do you hope Toledo gets from our conversation that we had today? I mean, I know that this is just out of the blue. I want to start asking that. I asked it last week, my podcast. I asked it to the last question, because I want to give value, because this podcast is giving me a little value, because it's feeding me. It's giving you a little value because you're getting some stuff out.
Yeah.
But like what
So what's the point?
What are we giving? What are we giving to these young men? What are we giving to Toledo out of this conversation?
I think the biggest thing that I know you're giving and I'm giving is ourselves. We're giving a part of ourselves that we could very well give to a corporation or another person or even our families, but we're giving that to you. Try to be receptive of it. I'm not here to hurt anybody. I know you're not. So I think that it's back. I'll keep hounding that. Give it another chance. Maybe you have the wrong idea about that guy. Maybe you misunderstood that lady. Give it another chance. Take another try. See what happens. I think that the biggest thing I want Toledo to get out of it is we're all here together. And you hear the sirens. I mean, we can work together and try to figure it out together,
Yeah.
United we stand, divided we fall.
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
And that's why I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing. I'm having coaches from different teams,
Amen.
different that. I'm gonna have players.
Yes.
I'm gonna have different business. So I just want people to know here in Toledo, like, help me,
Yes.
help them.
And there really is enough for everybody.
Yeah, it was like,
Yeah.
if you help me grow, I'm going to keep helping everybody else. I'm going to do one podcast every week for the rest of my life.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you guys very much for watching Big Yogi'Z Garage. Thank you, Robert, for
Appreciate
coming
you
on
guys
the
listening. I
podcast.
appreciate you having me.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for watching. See you next week on Big Yogi'Z Garage. Don't forget to subscribe and share.
Later.